ほう、向かってくるのか。
近づかなきゃてめえをぶちのめせないんでな。
Alright, so today we'll be talking about Super Saiyan Kamui Tenebrion, or S Kamui for short. And I've said in my Kamui Bastion video previously, but S Kamui Tenebrion and A Kamui Bastion perform two completely different roles. S Kamui is a dark type sub DPS armor unit, while Kamui Bastion is a physical type sub DPS armor unit. And if you don't want to miss any future PGR guides and videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. And once again, if I make any mistakes or I forget to mention something, I'll stick it in a pinned comment below. Alright, let's get into it. Kamui Tenebrion is a base S-rank armor structure that deals primarily dark type damage, as well as having crowd control and dark damage debuffs for your team. This video will cover S Kamui's skills, passives, I'll cover his playstyle and gameplay, his weapons, builds, synergies, and my pull and build recommendations. I'll also drop timestamps if you want to jump to a specific topic. Since S Kamui's ultimate is key to every ability in his kit, I want to go over it first. Using his ultimate, Kamui turns into its dark form, where he gains 40% dark damage, and his orb abilities will become their dark damage variants. The form continuously drains 8 energy per second, as indicated by the meter at the bottom of the screen. But in order to counteract this drain, his core passive gives him 10 energy per 3 orb ping. It also gives Kamui some physical and dark resistance. I'll cover the overall gameplay and intricacies in the playstyle section of the video. With that being said, Kamui's basic attacks deal physical damage in melee range with a decent AoE, and in his ultimate, his basic attacks deal dark damage instead, and his final hit performs a multi-hit spin that looks cool as fuck. His QTE spins onto enemies, launching smaller enemies airborne, and then dealing physical damage, and the final hit deals dark damage and reduces the enemy's dark resistance. S Kamui's blue orb performs an upward strike, launching enemies and dealing physical damage and a little bit of dark damage. In his ultimate, he deals dark damage instead, and stuns enemies with a duration based on the amount of blue orbs pinged. His yellow orb puts Kamui into your mom about to whoop your ass with a broomstick charge, and during this charge he deals physical damage and has more tenacity, meaning that he takes less damage and cannot be crowd controlled during his charge. And when the charge ends, it deals a little bit of dark damage. In his ultimate, his charge becomes a repeatedly whooping your ass state, where Kamui continuously deals dark damage while charging at a target for a set duration. His red orb deals a wave of damage that deals physical damage and a little bit of dark damage, and in his ultimate, Kamui once again becomes my Asian parents and repeatedly beats the living shit out of the target, dealing dark damage, and I feel like I'm getting some childhood trauma PTSD talking about these abilities, so let's move on. For his leader passive, when there's an assault and support structure, everyone gains 10% elemental damage and 5% physical damage. As for his Ascensions, since he's a base S rank, his class skill can already be upgraded, and at SS, when Kamui is in his dark form, hits further reduce enemy dark resistance and he takes less damage. At SS, he gains more 3 orb ping damage, and at SS+, he gains more dark damage during his dark form. As for S Kamui's playstyle, if you haven't figured it out already, you need to save the ultimate or dark form through constantly proccing the core passive with 3 orb pings, which is very doable with 4-piece Hana. Be sure to switch off S Kamui if the meter is about to run out to preserve it, and once you bring S Kamui back into the field, you may have some orbs ready to fill up your energy meter and keep that ultimate form up indefinitely. And ideally, you want to have some orbs ready before you go into your ultimate. You do lose a lot of damage being out of your ultimate form, so don't let it go down. And really, avoid anything other than 2 orb matrix or 3 orb pings, so if you're not used to sorting your orb bar for 3 orb pings, now's the time to start getting good. And no real priority with the orbs, they basically all do damage, so use whatever 3 orb ping is there to keep the ultimate up, but do know that the blue orb does have a pretty good stun if you have the choice. As for weapons, the 4-starless suppressor is fine, but especially since S Kamui does good personal damage himself, having at least a 5-star weapon is ideal just for the increase in base stats. The 6-star weapon, the Darkness, is a very considerable upgrade to push his dark damage further, making his signature weapon more worth than other armor units that have come out so far for light spenders or whales. As for 5-star memories, 4-piece Ive and 2-piece Gloria is good for early game, but if you haven't done so already, obtaining 4-piece Hana is a crucial upgrade. 4 Hana synergizes perfectly with Kamui's 3 orb ping dependent kit and helps him more easily maintain his ultimate uptime. And as for the 2-piece, 2-piece Einstein is by far best in slot for the dark damage shred, although you can always slot in something like 2-piece Darwin, 2-piece Bathlon, 2-piece Cody, or 2-piece Frederick in the meantime. 4 Da Vinci and 2 Einstein is fine as well, but it might be better on supports like Vera later on and Liv, since I personally feel that Kamui does so much good damage himself that using him as a QTE bot with Da Vinci kind of feels like a waste. And ideally, you want Hana on the bottom row and Einstein on the top here, since Einstein gets more HP and has a lower defense base stat, but it's not too big of a deal to be honest. Using 4 Baron can also kind of be a waste on S Kamui since Kamui's kit utilizes 4 Hana so well, although it can work as a temporary measure. And as for S-Kamui's team comps, I like to position my A Watanabe Astra on the red slot, and then having S-Kamui on either the blue or yellow slot, leaving the third slot to be A Karenina for the grouping. And in this case, A Karenina carries the 4-piece Da Vinci, since Kamui is the sub DPS, so he'll be holding the Hana. And you can swap out A Karen for Liv or Vera Rosen later on if you want to trade some damage and grouping for heals. And as for Pancake, I like to once again run A Watanabe Astra on the red slot, and any Liv at the moment, or A Vera Rosen later on in the blue or yellow slot, and then obviously S Kamui on the last slot. And once again, with the healers holding 4-piece Da Vinci since Kamui holds 4-piece Hana. And you can replace Astro in all these comps with Luna once she comes out. So with all that being said, should you pull for him? Well, the choices are either using an S-selector ticket, lucking out in the beginner banner, or waiting for a 70% S Kamui rate up, which is a potential black card sink. So low spenders and free to play should roll at your own discretion depending on the black card income. If you don't have enough saved, it's not worth skipping a new S rank 4. That being said, the only other dark type tank is base A rank 21 who debuts in like a year, so you can use any armor unit in the meantime for dark teams. If you have him, should you build him? Well, S Kamui is the core tank for dark teams for dark damage shred as well as doing respectable damage himself, so he's 100% worth building if you already haven't done so. He has great synergy with the current Watanabe Astro and future Luna, and that being said, he will require full character investment since every part of his kit is used, and if his ultimate uptime is poorly managed, your damage will suffer, so orb management is key. And again, any updates or mistakes I'll leave in the pinned comment below, but if you have any further questions, drop it down in the comments. I do read and respond to them all, or join the Discord at discord.io/AutomataUmna. Subscribe so you don't miss future PGR guides and content, and if you found this video informative, let me know by dropping a like, a dislike if you didn't. Excuse me, I gotta go get an improper amount of sleep, so peace late.